Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Sergeant Be Safe here, and I'm stuck in the office. I'm stuck. You want to know why? I'll be completing reports for stolen vehicles. Yeah, that's right, stolen vehicles. I tell people all the time to lock their doors and put away their valuables. However, this continues to happen. Do you know that about approximately 95% of all auto thefts can be prevented? Here, let's go for a walk and I'll show you a few examples. Example number 1. You go to the store and you leave your car running. Little do you know that Chance Wilder's on the prowl. He sees your car running with the door unlocked, gets in it, and they're off! Have to start.
Oh no!
Frustrating. Let's move on to example number 2. You're at home and the car's parked for the day. But you feel safe and secure and believe this could never happen to me. And there's Rob You Blind going from car to car. Just got caught though.
Poopa, be safe.
Hands up. You're coming with me.
Ooh.
People leave their car doors unlocked and believe it or not, their keys in them. Here's video footage of someone going onto someone's driveway and entering their car, and guess what? Stealing that too. Even if you don't keep your car key, don't keep your spouse's key in the vehicle either. Believe it or not, they park right beside you. So therefore, take the extra step, lock your vehicle, and take your keys inside. So here's a little bit of information for you. If your car is ever stolen, and then I find it and recover it, it's usually not in the same condition that it once was. It could have been involved in a motor vehicle accident because of joyriding, or just have more dents, scratches, and damage on it. You'll get an incident report and a tow bill. Your insurance company may cover the towing and recovering fee, but you could also have to come out of pocket with some extra expenses. So now let's move on to example number 3. Parking lots at major businesses are prime targets. Lock your doors, put valuables away, park in well-lit areas, and definitely do not, I cannot stress it any harder, leave your vehicle running in the parking lot. Because no matter how many times Rob You Blind and Wild Chance go to jail, they will always take advantage of a prime opportunity to take your valuables or steal your vehicle. Don't be an easy target. Hands up, you both are coming with me.
Ooh.
These are just a few examples of how you can protect yourself and be vigilant with your property. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
Subscribe now.
go. Start the show.
Now.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you guys for tuning in. We are in another episode of Black and Blue. First and foremost, I'm your host. I'm Coach Clee coming at you. It's your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker. And yeah, we're here for another show. We got an exciting lineup for you today as we keep this thing going. 2023 is about to be a very informative and powerful year. For those of you who are just now tuning in for the first time, Black and Blue is a podcast where we discuss current events, past experiences, anything that has to do with law enforcement throughout the nation, throughout the world, whether you're rookie, whether you're seasoned, or whether you're retired. And right now we got a special guest that I can't wait to introduce, but we got to get some housekeeping rules out there. If you want that shout out that some of you I know that you want, we're streaming on 5 different platforms, okay? We're on 2 platforms on YouTube, we're on 1 on LinkedIn, and we're on 2 platforms on Facebook. So because we're streaming on 5 different platforms, I can't see who's always on here. So the only way I can see who's on here is I see you, Merrick. You're watching us on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. You got to put something in the comment section, whether it's a question, because this is interactive, or whether you put your name and where you're from, okay? And you'll get that shout out that you're looking for. There you go. I see you on, yep. There's Merrick Green. He gives a lot of good things. MG4tech.com is his website. Make sure you check him out. He gives a lot. If you got websites, if you have podcasts, anything like that, he can help you get a lot of those things done. All right. I see Shayla's on here. Thank you for tuning in. You know, I'm going to say tag, like, and share. She's always on here. She provides valid and valuable information as well. And keep it coming. We're going to have a lot of fun. Get your questions ready as well. One Way Publishing, got to give a shout out to them. You see the work or the website scrolling below, workwithlee.com. One Way Publishing is one of our sponsors. Their sponsorship, their motto, is they turn a mere thought and turn it into a book that's bought. And I wrote a few books myself. You can see some of them back there. And there's a couple of clients also that have written a few of their books, whether they're biographies, autobiographies, instructional books, or some even fantasy books. Whatever your needs are, they can get it done. So make sure you guys check them out. And Sergeant Be Safe, you know, he has to go ahead and get his 2 cents in about One Way Publishing. It's in the website. The website scrolling below, the comment section is also in there. And also our guest website is in the comment section. Make sure, don't look at it now. Make sure you check it out after the live. He's got some wonderful things there. But here's Sergeant Be Safe.
Welcome to One Way Publishing. I'm Sergeant Be Safe, and over there you see Captain Chaos with the K9 Kraken. One Way Publishing has great deals, so we're over here typing up our own books. Everyone has a story to tell, and who better to write the story of your life than you? Even if it's a fiction make-believe book, it can still get done. Here at One Way Publishing, they pride themselves on turning a mere thought into a book that's bought. So Kraken, what do you think about that? Just imagine going to the bookstore and seeing the book that you wrote on the shelves. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way. Make sure you check out the website, workwithlee.com.
That was Sergeant Be Safe, you know, the fictional cartoon cop that likes to give us safety tips that are relevant for today. Check him out. He's got his own page on IG, and he also gives highlight tips on YouTube as well. But let's get to it. This is why you guys are all here. Let me go ahead and get this right. Bam, right there. That's what I'm talking about. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the show, okay? Got a person backstage that I had the pleasure of meeting. I had the pleasure of getting to know. I had the pleasure of reading his book as well, and it's very powerful. Goes through a lot of ups and downs and wonderful experiences that I think is necessary, especially for anyone in this position, in a law enforcement position, to read and learn about, because you can relate to it. you understand the highs and lows at very particular points in life of this career. He's a 20-year veteran. He's retired after 20 years on the job. He's also a small business owner, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. His website, let me switch this up, it's scrolling right below right now, trainingforthefight.org. That's and he goes and gives seminars and speeches and things along those lines. And yes, I believe it. He's a self-proclaimed ish magnet. You know, we try and keep it a little PG-13 here. And I'll give you a little story here because he texted me. I worked Christmas Day shift, and I was in charge that day. And Lord knows that as soon as he texted me, he said "Merry Christmas" or "Happy Holidays" or something to that effect. As soon as I got that text, we got a call for an active burglary. I was like, I can't believe it. And I was still halfway through his book at that time. And I was like, yeah, I really did. After the end of that call was over, I had to text him and let him know that, yes, you are a self-proclaimed fish magnet. And that is very true. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to bring him to the stage here in a minute. 1 second.
Hello, this is Sergeant Be Safe, and I want to welcome all you viewers and our very special guest to Black and Blue. So get your questions ready and enjoy the show.
Film Pack.
Subscribe now.
Film Pack.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, without further ado, got a couple guests here. We got Brandon Griffith. Yes, Chris is a hell of a speaker and runs a great program. Absolutely. He was a former guest on the show a couple weeks ago. Make sure you guys tune in to that. And another former guest on the show. Hello, everyone. Leroy Martin, sheriff, no longer sheriff-elect. The sheriff is now on here as well. But without further ado, got to give him his time to shine. Jamon, I see you on here. I'll get your comment in a minute. Chris, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely, Chris. It's my pleasure to introduce you and bring you to the forefront of the lab featuring Black and Blue, having yourself on the show. Chris, I'm excited to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Oh, man, you got me busting up laughing on that intro about Christmas Day. I forgot all about that. So sorry if I bled over to your side of the country. You know, I try to keep it over here on the West Coast, but, you know, what can we do? So
it happens.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. Born and raised in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, of all places.
Okay.
Moved to Virginia for a few years, and then out to Arizona, where I did my 20 years with the Phoenix Police Department.
Okay.
Got hired on 97, called it in 2018, jumped ship from Arizona in 2019, moved to San Diego, and here ever since.
Wow. And so, with you, you've traveled all over the place, up and down the East Coast and West Coast through various places. Yeah. So
I just got back from New England, as a matter of fact, and Manhattan, and been all over. It's been awesome, man.
Yeah, I bet. What gave you the burning desire to wanting to get in this crazy profession that we call law enforcement? I know, and I don't want to give too much away. Your book's right here. I know you kind of give a little preamble. First and foremost, your first chapter is a catcher. It hooked me right there, and I know it's intended to. But then I know you stop right there, and then you go back into how you went through the academy and things along those lines. But what gave you that burning desire?
You know what? I gotta be honest, man. I had 4 job career thoughts when I was a little kid, and the very last one was being a cop. And I was probably about 26 years old. I was actually working construction, and I was doing a job for a guy. And I get done doing the job, and he says, "You're a terrific dude. You should be a cop." And I'm like, "Okay." So, I mean, no kidding. It was almost a year to the day when I graduated the academy, and it was basically just his kind of push. You know, and I thought, man, what a great opportunity to have somebody else tell me that they think I'd be good at this career. I thought about it for quite a while, but never really. I didn't have the courage to take the leap until somebody else told me you should probably do it. So that was it.
Okay. And so throughout the process, was there anyone or any example or any mentor, or anyone who helped influence you to help you become the police officer, the ish magnet that you became throughout your career?
Man, as it turned out, later on down the road, it ended up being my class sergeant for the academy. But up until then, it was pretty much just me. You know, I was first generation law enforcement. I had no idea what I was getting into. I mean, it was like, all right, just jump in head first and good luck, you know. And it just turned out that I made mostly good decisions. Yeah, well, we can talk about that if you want to, but it was definitely a learning curve. Had a tremendous career. It was a lot of fun, but there were a few along the road that once I started getting into it, I started looking up to these other guys. Yes, so
gotcha. And so, what exactly do you do? What's your specialty now? What's your actual profession now? I know you do seminars. I believe you do some sort of teaching at maybe an academy or college courses or things along those lines.
Yeah, I've been teaching at Northern Arizona University. I go back there from time to time and teach. I'm a big advocate of the Griffith Blue Heart. Got to throw a plug in for those guys, Brandon Griffith and his team. I'm an adjunct instructor for those guys, so I come out to Arizona and teach with them from time to time. I run a small business where I sell books, of course. I do some public speaking across the country, and I've also got a training company where I teach small businesses, you know, safety stuff and tactics, and I also teach California CCW, Arizona CCW, anything I can get myself on the range to teach. I'm all over that too. So.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're pretty busy still, even in retirement. I know one of the common questions that a lot of the retired guys who come on here is like, what's life like after the job? We identify ourselves by working. We see ourselves only doing one thing, and that's after doing so much police work, patrol work, whatever it may be, some sort of law enforcement field for 20, 25, sometimes 30 years, that afterwards, once you retire, it's kind of like, do you lose yourself, or do you have to reinvent yourself, or do you just move on to the next chapter?
Well, I'll let you guys in on the secret. No matter what you do when you retire, we don't ever retire because we're too busybody to do that. I can promise you. So you're exactly right, though. I'm busier now than I was when I was working 40 hours a week plus the off duty. Yeah. One of the things that I did right during my career was I got all my instructorships out of the way early, and so when I retired, I was able to still continue to stay in the law enforcement community and teach, which is the greatest thing ever because now I get to teach, hang out with all the guys, and I'm not getting shot at. So a little secret there. So
that's cool. Yeah, to get it all done out the way, and it keeps you moving. Still keeps you relevant because it keeps your you still have a pulse for what's going on out here in the world and in the street.
Yeah, big time. And I'll tell you what, man. There was a loss of identity for me a little bit because you know when I realized that, you know, I go to the grocery store for the first time. I don't have the arrest authority anymore. I'm not in uniform. And what occurred to me was, did people care that I was in uniform when I was? And maybe not, but they sure as hell don't care now that I'm out of uniform. So I kind of just cut it off. I'm like, you know what? I did my time. I had the fun. You know, now it's a younger man's generation. Those guys come up through the ranks. Let those guys handle it, man. God bless them.
Yeah. And so moving on to when that day comes, you know, I like I alluded to, I read this book throughout the holiday season. I finished it maybe about a week and a half ago or so. It's an amazing book. I thank you for sharing your experiences through the highs and lows and the traumas and things that we'll get into. But one of my favorite stories that I read of yours that was in there was, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you were at a taco spot and you were getting ready to eat tacos and you didn't get to finish your meal. The manager or restaurant owner came to you, said someone was in their shed, some kid took off, and it was amazing that they, as they're taking off and you guys are going after them, they get struck by the same car twice, and then get hit by a second car, and their chest is sizzling under a muffler or something like that.
Yeah, that was actually two different stories. So the one with the taco guy was great because we chased this guy all over. Turned out it would have been, the thing would have just gone away, but the manager wanted us to go after him, so we did. That was the one where the guy, we chased him forever. He did get hit by two cars. We find him under a car. My partner goes and tases him, and I pull him out, and fights on, of course. And what I didn't realize was, you know, because of all we had gone through, I mean, the guy gets hit by two cars. You know, he's pretty desperate to get away, so it's got to be something bigger going on. So
yeah.
during the struggle, pretty much a defensive tactics guy as well. I like to ground fight more than anything on the first feet, but I'm on the ground with this guy rolling around, and I realized you control the head, control the body, right? So I did, and I probably used a little bit more force than I needed to at the time, but I basically split his eye open with a pebble, and it just started spewing blood everywhere. It's unbelievable. I was like, man, I never got you one of that before, So there was that one. In the muffler store, I'd say that really quick. So this kid steals like $30 worth of sprinkler heads or whatever, takes off running out of the store, runs headlong into traffic. Why? I mean, where'd you think you're going to go? I mean, there's 5 lanes of traffic, at speed. He gets tagged, and literally, I'm not kidding, man, breaks everything all but the left side of his body, bends him in half. He goes down. The first car runs him over. Second car runs him over and it stops. And I mean, I'm right there because I'm the magnet. I'll spare the actual word, but because I'm right there, I see the carnage going on. And right about that time, the call comes out. And I'm like, hey, I'm on scene. I get over there just about the time when people were trying to pull him up from underneath the car. And you can see the indentation of the muffler that had been on his chest. Ooh. And to pull him out, of course, the air hits it in his chest, not because he's breathing, but the bubbling on his chest, making his chest rise. I'm like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was awesome. It was great. So
yeah. I remember now that you say that, I did confuse, but you clarified it. Thank you for clarifying that. Another one I thought was interesting was a streetwalker female that you were kind of like second guessing I should ignore, and turns out that that turns into some sort of pursuit where the guy was wanted. And so the stories in here are great is what I'm trying to allude to. I'm probably going to confuse it all because I know I'm reading them, and some I'm laughing at, others I'm like, wow, man, how do you go through this stuff? But I get it. And so why'd you decide to want to write a book?
Well, let me start with, I encourage everybody, like yourself, you're an author as well. I didn't even really plan on this being a book. When I woke up one morning, I was supposed to meet some friends. I couldn't sleep. Got up in the middle of the night. That was still on. I still had about a year to go, give or take, right at my 20. And just got inspired just to start putting stuff down on paper. And of course, it was a lot of stuff. So I'm pounding the keys away. Before I knew it, and I swear the thing, it started writing itself. I couldn't even keep up. And fast forward to this 2017, I fast forward to 2020, the book is done, which you can see over my shoulder. That's my very first copy that I got in the mail. Okay. Nice. My girlfriend, who did all the editing, God bless her, that's why it reads so well. So she did all the part. Yeah, she did a phenomenal job on it. When we talk to people about the book itself, she now knows we've been together for just over 4 years, and he says the book saved my life. And I'm like, wow, I think you're exactly right, because I had no idea that it was going to be such an impactful part of my life. And now that it's done, I can share it with the rest of the world, and that's pretty much all I want to do. So, yeah,
you got the tools to do so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If you want to get your copy, make sure you check out the website below, and you can order your very own copy. It's a great read, especially like I said before. Anyone that's thinking about getting into this field, or anyone that's already in this field, and any stage of it, you can relate to, whether it's you're new, whether you're seasoned, whether you're retired, you can find some way to relate to them, because the stories are different characters, but they're very similar throughout the nation. I'm pretty sure that we can all wow, I know somebody who fits the bill. That may not be that person, but I know someone who's been through something similar like that.
It's a cop's book for cops. I mean, it is, but it's also, it does kind of correlate to the real world as well, because I talk about, just surviving life. We're talking about marriage and divorce and kids and, you name it. It's pretty much, and I didn't plan it that way. Don't get me wrong. I didn't sit down and go, I'm going to write this great book and I'm going to be some, hot shot thing. And I still just kind of feel like I'm just a regular old guy, regular cop that I just survived a tremendous amount of experiences, which now led to where I am now. And it's my entire goal, my obligation, I call it, is I want to help everybody else either navigate through what they have been through or prepare them for what they may go through.
Right. And speaking about preparation, training for the fight, I know that's kind of the subtitle. How do you suggest you prepare for training for the fight, the unexpected fight that may or may not happen while we're working?
Well, I'll tell you, the number one thing that I learned very, very quickly on my career was playing the what if game. All day, every day, still to this day, retired 4.5 years now, and I walk out my front door and I think, what if some guy is coming at me with a knife? Do I close the distance? Do I engage him somehow? Do I close the door? I mean, whatever your scenario is. So I mentally prepared myself over and over and over and visualized the win every time. Like, I talk about Michael Jordan. He would sit there and do free throws. He was free throws. That way he never missed. So you got to visualize the win. The second part was the physical preparation, which is for me having my knife on my support side. Somebody, if they grab my gun and the only weapon system I have is my knife, so be it. Like I got locked onto my gas pedal with my boot lace one day when I was in training, and I was like, it was an innocent thing, but that freaked me out. And I thought, man, I'm trapped in the car. I can't get out. And
wow.
So I learned to tuck my laces in my boots. Of course, the physical side, you stay in shape. Cardio, the hit stuff, or whatever it is, the Tough Mudders. I don't care what it is, but
yeah.
Then you get to the emotional side where you start talking about surviving. Like in my case, burying 16 officers in the line of duty.
Wow.
How does that happen? Plus 3 since I've retired. And these are guys who showed up to work and didn't go home. I mean, we're not talking about guys like me that retired and dropped dead of a heart attack or whatever else. So preparing yourself for that, the funerals, how do you get to that emotional stage? Of course, I talk a lot about that. And then you get into what I now know to be the spiritual part of things. And I learned as I go considerably, and I learned this probably in the last year, that for most of my adult life, I kept saying, when I see a sign that makes me believe, then I'll start believing more. And then my buddy was killed, and as it turned out, now I've figured out that was the sign that pushed me into the side of spirituality. That's a little nutshell I can give you to all that. So.
Wow. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, we're going to dig a little deeper, but right now we're going to take a pause for the cause because Sergeant Be Safe has to get his commercial interlude. Stand by.
Sergeant Be Safe here. And do you think I fight crime all by myself? Well, I don't. There's a whole team of us, and right now I'm going to introduce you to one of them. He's on his way here now. When he gets here, I want you to give him a warm welcome.
Hey crew, Captain Chaos here. I'm also a canine handler. Here's my dog Kraken.
Release the Kraken.
Dance with my dogs in the nighttime.
Together we fight crime and keep everyone safe.
He's absolutely right. And he has a partner that rides along with him every day. It's his canine. And they work together to sniff out crooks that like to cause you and me trouble.
You guys know me. I'm Rob You Blind. No, I don't live here. This door was left unlocked. You guys make it very easy for me to steal your valuables. Sometimes I get my friends Chance Wilder and Treacherous Tony to help me.
Chance Wilder at your service. I'm the computer hacker and IT whiz. The scammer of all scammers. My friends Rob You Blind and Treacherous Tony often help me.
Yeah, I'm Treacherous Tony. I deal illegal drugs and pills.
This is just terrible news. Avoid him at all costs.
My new friends Robbie Blind and Chance Wilder brought me into their crew. I don't sell it to kids. I give it to them.
Ooh. Party pooper, be safe. You can't stop me. I know my rights. I'm just walking around here.
All right. I give up. I won't do it again.
Film Pack.
With more chaos comes more confusion. However, I'm Sergeant Be Safe, and I'll continue to stay here to give you your tip of the day to get you on your way.
Subscribe now.
All right, thank you guys for tuning in and standing by for the Sergeant Be Safe. Hope you guys enjoy that. A lot of time, effort, and fun are used to make those cartoons, and a lot of the voices that you hear are some, they're probably not going to want me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway, are some active duty law enforcement officials that just have a lot of fun making their voices a little different. I'm going to put it out there. But make sure you guys check that out. We're going to jump back into this interview. Got Chris Hoyer here. His website scrolling below. He's got his book that he's, when that day comes that we've been discussing. And Chris, I know it's kind of a hard topic. It's at least a hard topic for me to have read about and to kind of talk about. What's it like to actually physically go through a traumatic experience at work? And kind of, do you have an out-of-body experience? Do you have a moment of clarity in the moment, or do you kind of just go to autopilot in certain traumatic experiences?
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't really understand the dynamic of what a true critical incident was until probably well into my career, probably 8 or 10 years ago. And, you know, for me, the biggest proponent was training myself, you know, to be prepared for whatever it was that happened. And I think because I did that, I think that helped me through a lot of stuff. But I also was that, you know, typical red-blooded American male going, yeah, I can handle it, you know, pounding my chest and walking around going, yeah, look at me, I got my rifle, sending selfies to my mom and stuff. And I had forgotten the importance of why we carry guns and what they do, you know, as a whole. And so what I refer to as my career-ending gunfight at the end, at my 18th year, pretty much everything went wrong for me after that one. So I thought I was good to go. I was so far from that I didn't even have any idea. So,
gotcha. So in that moment, I know, were you working a vice unit? Were you working a task force? I know, were you plain clothes in an unmarked vehicle?
Yeah, it's kind of a task force, like a proactive squad. We call it the neighborhood enforcement team. And that particular unit, we could be plain clothes, we could be undercover, or we could be in a marked car. What you're leading up to that particular day, I was actually plain clothes. So.
And so that incident, were able to talk about that incident? No problems.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no, I teach this all across the country. So yeah, I've told the story, I don't know, probably countless times by now.
So when you get the dispatch of the call, what exactly was the original call dispatched to you, or what did you overhear?
Came out as a residential burglary. You know, I mean, it was just a garden variety radio call that I didn't even pay attention to because it was out of my area. So.
And so were you the first one on the scene, or one of the first arriving officers?
Well, about 5 minutes into the call, as it turned out, I learned later, my lieutenant got on the radio and he said, hey, is anybody free to go scout the house? You know, go down there and check it out. And of course, me being who I was, you know, it's 2:30. I'm like, dude, I get off at 4. I still got time to get into something. Okay, well, you know, careful what you wish for, grasshopper, though. So I got finished doing what I was doing. I hopped in the hot rod and I sped down there. And that was, I mean, I'd been on the net squad for 14 years when this happened, 18 years on the department. And you guys called me to do this specific job. So that's what I did. I got down there and first one with eyes on and set up on it and just started putting out information. So. Gotcha.
And how far along into the call did you realize that things were a little different and things were starting to go south?
Probably about a year after I started talking about it.
Wow.
Oddly enough as that sounds, and believe me when I tell you, if I sound like I'm being just kind of straight candid about this, don't get me wrong. There's been, if you read the book, you'll see and hear how I've lost it so many times, but now I can talk about it and it's okay. But we got there and it was right around the time that we all the other units started to rally. Our idea was we were just going to surround the house and call this guy out to us.
Right.
And of course, we now know that Murphy had a different plan for us.
Yeah.
So probably about 3 seconds after I got out of my ride in no man's land where everything was out in the open, gunfire erupted and my buddy was killed. So that's when I knew things were going bad. And I didn't see it happen, thank goodness. But I knew something bad had happened. I just didn't know what yet. So
right. And I'm sorry to hear that. That's, I believe, all of our worst nightmares is while working the job is having a critical incident where a friend of ours gets seriously injured or killed or anything, and we don't want that for anyone. During that, do you remember those moments, or do you have to? Do you remember the memory of what people have told you happened in that moment?
Yes, a little bit of both. There's a whole bunch of very strange physiological things that happened, and physical, of course, as well. So to start with, basically, I came up on target, if you will, and I had my rifle, and I knew there was something going wrong, and I started firing, and I put about 10 rounds into the middle window of this guy's van, because process of deduction, about 2.5 seconds, realizing he's not here, he must be here, come up and put those rounds into his window. And as a tactical instructor, rifle instructor, all these great things that I do, plus having been involved with 3 prior officer-involved shootings, including one with the rifle, the very first mistake I made, I put those rounds down range, and the first thing I do is I come off target. Which is what I teach. I teach guys don't do that because. And what do you think I do? I come off target, and what do you think happens?
He pops back up.
He pops back up, starts cranking rounds back at me, and I'm like, wait a second. I've been in 3 shootings. I didn't know, as stupid as it sounds, I didn't know the difference between a shooting and a gunfight. Well, it didn't take long to figure that out. I was like, wait a second, I don't like this anymore, And you figure also, when I do my speeches, I show a picture of my rifle, and you think that you shoot a gun like that, it should solve the problem, and it just didn't. And so came up off the X. I came back up for that second round of fire and cranked off another, I estimate about 15 more rounds for a total of 22. And that's what finally put him down. He was in the car the entire time. Never saw him. So.
Wow. And so getting the call for active burglary, what did you determine later that it was actually a burglary, or was it a mental health incident, or was it the god-awful suicide by cop?
It was all those combined, and the kid was on dope. Basically what happened was he had been borrowing mom's car, but he stole it, and he showed back up at the house, kicked in the front door, stole dad's gun out of the safe, took a selfie with the gun to his head with a crack pipe or a meth pipe in his mouth.
Wow.
And the last intel that we got was he was at the house. Nobody knew, including me, that he was inside the van for 13 minutes where I was watching and didn't know he was there. So clearly the beginning of the survivor's guilt kicks in. So
yeah.
But yeah, he was I got the 911 call. He actually tells the dad he wants to shoot out with the cops. He's suicidal. He's on dope. We know all these things. So fast forward just slightly, we reached out to our air support. They had about a 10 or 15 minute ETA. We reached out to canines. They were about 20 or 25 minutes away. And we reached out to our SWAT guys who were at the academy training, and they weren't coming. Hey, call us when you need us. So we had the resources coming. It's just, we can't call the big guns for all the radio calls. So, we thought we could handle it as patrol level, tactics, if you will. And it just, didn't work out the way we hoped. So.
Right. So when things were going bad, I know, like in the book, like you said, mentioned in the book that dispatching and radio traffic had seemed like it come to a standstill, or things got varied because so many different agencies and entities working were on the way to come help out everyone, and eventually, I guess it was that where everything just seemed like it shut down.
It literally shut down. Yeah, the radio tower locked up, and we'd had dead air for exactly 2 minutes to the second.
Wow.
So we couldn't get out on the radio, and the dispatcher couldn't clear us, nor could she type us back anything. I mean, it was dead. It was weird. For me, it didn't make any difference because I was so full of adrenaline, and I'm in the red and I'm approaching the black. If you guys are familiar with that, and I'm not forward thinking at this point. It's just like autopilot, So.
And so during that incident, I know in your book you mentioned how I believe a sergeant was coming. I guess you the two of you kind of meandered off all to off to the side when everything was. I guess the immediate impact was over. I don't know how to actually verbalize it. Was over, and you guys were able to kind of understand what was going on, and kind of decompress in that moment at least to kind of comprehend the impact of everything.
I was toward the end. I was up on another car for about 12 minutes watching, and I was completely locked up. Somebody else came to relieve me, saved me, bunkered me off the scene, sent me back into the street, and then I see Joe, the sergeant, running the scene. The bad part about that situation was Joe was standing about 10 feet behind Dave when he was shot, and that's the fight that he has to fight, of course. So fast forward, when I see Joe in the street, now we're safe pretty much. SAU, our SWAT guys, they got it locked down. They're going to handle it from there. So we're free to pretty much just go be whatever we need to be at this point. See Joe, I walk out to the middle of the street and I grab him around the neck and I'm looking at him. His face is right here and he's looking right through me like I'm not even there, and I'm, shaking him and I'm like, hey man, we're good. We did what we had to do. And whatever it is that I said, of course, I'll never remember in a billion years. But,
right.
He's looking right through me and I realized he's not okay. So I kind of just sent him on his way. And then I ended up walking down the end of the street, which is another, not a critical part of the story, but another story as well. So.
Gotcha. And so, and I know you give kudos, shout outs to a couple of the dispatchers in your book as well. And shout out to dispatching itself, because I know they don't get a lot of the glory, but they take a lot. They get a lot of the brunt of the initial calls. I know they get, they have to piece it together. I know they get cussed out a lot, and then to find a way to puzzle all that to get that information to us as fast as possible. So shout out to you and them for acknowledging them.
Oh, absolutely. And the beautiful part about what we do, or what you do now, God bless you for still being out there, is we can go hands on. We can see, touch and feel and do stuff that we need to do. They don't have that opportunity. It's a keyboard, a phone, and a screen, and that's all they have. And our voice is in their ear, and that that's struggle in itself. I mean, I've got story after story about dispatchers calling me by first name on the radio, saying, "Hey, knock it off, man. We know what you're doing." Well, I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. So, can you explain to us the experience, the emotional toll that you went through, the highs and lows, especially dealing with an incident of an officer killed in the line of duty? I mean, does it affect you almost immediately, or does it? Is it something constant that happens down the road that you have to work your way back to whatever your zero is, or even if you get back to whatever maybe your zero is?
Right. Yeah. Well, I can sum that up in the very beginning part for people that don't understand, that haven't been through a major critical incident like this one. I mean, let's face it, it couldn't have gotten any worse, except for more officers getting killed. Thank God that didn't happen. But in a 4.5 second gunfight, Dave is killed. I got to kill the bad guy, and then he almost kills me. I mean, so it's no wonder that I wasn't, screwed on all tight together. So, on the actual scene, probably about 20 minutes after the thing was all said and done, and I was kind of relieved and walked down to the end of the road. That's when it hit me. And that's for the first time I just lost it. I'm like, oh.
Wow. And
of course, for the rest of the day, I'm getting people approaching me, so it continued on.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I've got my little things here and there. I talk a lot about triggers, things that trigger me to push me in the right direction, and the things that trigger me to push me in the wrong direction. And both of those, I get very detailed on what they were. And then fast forward, going back to Joe, the sergeant, we're at Washington D.C. on the memorial wall together, which is a really long story, but I saw Joe one particular night. We happened to be out there by ourselves. I grabbed him around the neck in the same fashion, and it was that scene all over again. And it was somebody who took a sledgehammer to the side of my face. Bam! Came rushing back. Several hours of violent, uncontrollable crying. And I thought, I'm good. No, you're not, because you can't see what we see and expect to be okay.
Right.
I tell people all the time is, if you want to be okay, you've got to make that decision that you want to be okay. Like for me, I hit my rock bottom for me was waking up at 2 a.m. having anxiety attacks.
Wow.
That's gonna be different for you or anybody else.
Right.
I realized that, man, I'm a freaking mess. I gotta get fixed, and so I did. I went and I started seeking out the help that I needed desperately. So.
Okay. So like when you were in DC, do you think that was a healing process in itself to actually be there for fallen officers and having names inscribed on the wall and seeing officers from around the country and meeting, hearing their stories, meeting other people and hearing the highs and lows of this occupation?
Well, I will tell you what, man, I God forbid anybody ever has to go there as a host agency, which basically means you lost an officer. Guys that have been there for that reason will have a complete understanding of this part of it. And if you haven't been to DC for Police Week, you got to go just for, just to honor, if nothing else. I can tell you from experience, because I grew up out there on the East Coast. So I've been to DC, 100 times. I've been out there many times, never as a police officer and never as a host of a fallen officer as well. And so, there's lots of things going on, parades and candlelight and all this stuff. And you think that it's going to be, it's going to hit you here. And I can promise you that it's going to hit you in the last place you ever thought. For me, and I add this to my PowerPoint when I do my presentation, that probably one of my very proudest moments as a police officer was getting off the plane in Washington, D.C., Ronald Reagan. You get off the plane, and the whole place is pretty much shut down, and we've got guys from the UK that are lined up in formation, making a row for us, and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I freaking lost it. I just started bawling. I'm like, oh my, I called my psychiatrist. I'm like, you're never going to believe this. I've been in DC for 5 minutes and I'm already losing it. And then there are other times when you think it's going to be more emotional or traumatic, and it really wasn't. Not to say I'm not taking anything away from that. It just didn't happen when I expected it to. So
right. Interesting enough, yeah. So when you do these seminars, what are some frequent questions that you get from anyone who may have heard the story for the first time, or anyone who may have gone through a traumatic experience in themselves and finally may feel comfortable opening up to you because they feel like they made a connection with you?
Unfortunately, a lot of the questions I get are, how did your department support you? And luckily for me, I had a pretty good support system up till for about a year, and then after that, it kind of started to fall apart a little bit. So many other agencies don't support their officers for a long list of reasons that's only for them to decipher out. So I get that a lot. So I go into great detail about what I did to kind of prove to myself, of course, first, prove to my family, prove to my agency, particularly my bosses, that I was okay. Second thing is, how do you navigate through when you can't function in society? And I'm like, dude, I'm the poster child for that, as it turned out, And so, I talk about, when I go see the city psychiatrist, of course, we got to do that. For the city of Phoenix, we got to do it twice. And God bless her, I love her to death, but she just wasn't very objective with my process, if you will. So I decided that wasn't enough. So I went and sought off, help on my own. And found a psychiatrist who I really fell in love with, and she did everything that I needed to do to get back in shape. That still wasn't enough. I thought that I was good to go, and everything was working out fine. And then I respond to, most agencies have something related to like 1033, where it's like a major call, whatever it is. Like my version of that 1033 was another officer involved shooting about a year later. And, it was the first time responding to that since Dave. And I was, I made every single mistake you could possibly make, trying to chase this guy down. Long story short. So I recovered from that. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're good. Yeah. I made it through that. I survived all that kind of stuff. And then on my 20th anniversary, my best friend loses his dog on a deployment. And I just completely fell apart. I mean, these are things you can't plan for. And this is the part that you don't know what kind of trauma is going to hit you at what particular time. It could be 10 years after you retire, when you're like, oh my God, I just saw a dog get hit, and that triggers you into going back to all that stuff you had to process through. So I know it's kind of a roundabout answer. Sorry, but
no apologies necessary. I know it's an experience, and it's sharing that. And a lot of us who haven't gone through or don't understand, it's good to hear. It's good to hear, just to understand for if or when it does happen.
Well, that's why I titled the book the way I did. When that day comes, training for the fight, because it doesn't have to be a gunfight. It can be a drowned kid. It can be a car accident. It can be, you know, you're going through a divorce, whatever it is, because we embark on this career, and it's a fight. It is, you know.
A constant fight, yeah.
It is, you know, and it can get. Don't get me wrong. I had a ball. I had a blast being a cop. I mean, I had the greatest time ever. I'm like, you guys are paying me to do this? Oh my God, this is like the greatest thing ever. But you know, again, I didn't pay attention to the details that I needed to at the time to take care of myself, mostly emotional.
So, if you could take care of yourself emotionally more so earlier on in your career, how do you think? What kind of things would you take care of emotionally, so that way when you hit the latter portions of your career, you'd be a lot more. You'd be mentally in a better space.
Well, I would let go of some of the hoorah type talk, you know, like, hey, you know, whatever else did all. And don't get me wrong, it's great to have those kind of conversations from time to time.
It is.
Don't let that stuff consume you though, because pretty much what you're doing is you're focusing on all this great stuff over here, but you forgot that, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, we've got a twisted sense of humor, and that's a great way to get through some stuff. But it does compound. It will. And what I failed to do was I spent so much time working and chasing bad guys and pretending like I was okay. I was in denial. I'm like, no, that killing that guy didn't bother me. Well, that's crap. Of course it bothered you. You know, and there's ways to navigate through that. Like the first guy, you know, it was a horrible situation, of course, like they always are. But what I realized was like, look, you know what? You made this decision. And I said it in my debriefing, because I'm a big critical incident stress guy as well. You know, it's like, look, I'm not going to apologize for taking your life because you tried to kill me. You know, it was your decision, and that was the deciding factor for me. It's like, okay, well, you know, I've trained myself to be better to survive. You know, not only the gunfight, but now when I realize later, I've got to survive the aftermath as well. So,
absolutely. So if anyone wanted to pick up a copy of your book, I know the website's going below. What should they expect to get and learn and understand, and where exactly can they get copies of it?
Well, for the website itself, it's under construction still. I'm still working on that. So if you see it on there, you know, forgive me for that. But let me throw a plug in there. I am absolutely 100%. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you're welcome to put my email up there, even my phone number. They are welcome to call me for guidance, or, you know, I joke about it that I'm a great, you know, punching bag, a great shoulder, or a great ear. Any one of those three. And anybody that's struggling or is not sure, please reach out to me, because my email is actually in the book as well. And I welcome this conversation. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Another little plug, I got to say it, because I did the first edition of the book, and it was all done. I mentioned the dispatch community earlier, and I had a few things in there, and it completely, you know, it didn't even occur to me that I had to do a whole chapter for them, and I didn't. So I added it to the second edition of the book.
Okay.
It had 3 other chapters as well. And when I did the second edition, I reached out to Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, for guys that know or don't know him. He's a best-selling author. He's one of my heroes. Earlier you mentioned mentors. He was one of my mentors, as it turned out, in about 2003 when I saw him for the first time.
Okay.
And I'm getting to my plug here, so sorry, but basically what Colonel Grossman says is that he believes this is the best law enforcement prep book he's ever read, which like, well, I don't know about all that. I mean, I'll take the credit because you're Colonel Grossman, of course, but so what you can. It was. I mean, that was probably the highest accolade of my entire life. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, and I mean, again, I'll take it on board for sure. But basically, what you're going to get out of this is learning how to navigate the hiring process, going through all the other stuff you got to go through, all the BS and everything else, getting through your career, surviving a divorce, surviving multiple critical incidents, whatever that happens to be for you. And again, I don't care if you're working in, you know, sunny Florida on the beach, you know, you're going to still have some kind of critical incidents, or you're working in, you know, rough Maryville, where I work in Phoenix. It makes no difference to me where you are. You're going to have some kind of a fight.
Right.
So you're going to learn how to get through these kinds of things on a way. And I say it this way, and I'm like, look, this worked for Chris Hoyer. It may not work for you, but at least if there's a starting point where you can go, I think you're full of it, but at least give me a place to start, and I'm going to go this direction. Which, please, I'm all over that. Please do that. I love that. So I think that kind of made the point. I hope.
Yeah. How often do you have either seminars or speaking engagements or speak in front of a group or class I guess, I don't know, cadets or civilians or on the job, or how often do you speak in a seminar fashion?
I reach out to agencies across the country every single day, and
okay.
I've given my physical PowerPoint probably pushing about 100 times now. States everywhere from Washington State all the way to Maine and everything kind of in between. I made it to Virginia and haven't made it further south of Virginia yet. I'm still working on that. So.
Gotcha.
But on average, I say probably at least twice a month. Now that the COVID's over, I can get back on the screen again. When it was going on, it was probably once every 3 months. But I mean, I will go to, the dispatch community. Like I spoke for Cigna Health. I spoke for Arizona Gaming, the recruits.
Okay.
Obviously, the Northern Arizona University. I speak for the Park Ranger Service for those guys. I mean,
okay.
Name it. I mean, I'll pretty, and it sounds bad to say it this way, I'll pretty much go anywhere people are listening to me talk. So, and I do better on stage than I do here. So,
trust me, I get it. I know we were talking backstage. The actual physical energy of having someone in front of you, you bounce and feed off of each other. I get it. I know. Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. So there we have it. There we go. What do you see yourself or your business or your book or your teachings in about 3 to 5 years? I hate this question because I have to word it in such a way where what's your end game goal? But I know once you have a goal, you set another goal. So there's really no end game. But if there was hypothetically an end game, what would your end game goal be?
Well, fantasy world, I want everybody going home safe. That's my ultimate goal for life.
Mm-hmm.
For reality, I've been doing a lot of like research and stuff, trying to get the business off the ground and everything else. And I realized last night that in 2024 I'll turn 55, which I'm like, how can that be? There's no way I'm that old, but whatever.
Would have never guessed.
Yeah, I know. Me either. I mean, a 30-year-old daughter with a grandkid that's 6. I'm like, dude, no, I'm like 22, man. How'd this happen? But whatever.
I get it.
So, but I mean, having the time of my life, and believe me when I tell you, there is life after the department. Trust me when I tell you, and I'm living the best life I've ever had. But I realized last night my birthday's on the 24th, and I'll turn 55 in 2024. So my goal is, my girlfriend and I, we live in Encinitas, California, which is basically San Diego.
Okay.
And we want to move to Coronado, which is like Mecca. I mean, that place, if you've never been there, oh my goodness. So my goal is by my 55th birthday, 24, 55, 24. Actually, I've got that written down. That's my daily goal. I'm going to look at that every day now and go, yep, you're going to launch this business into stardom or whatever the word is. And that's where I want to be and I'm living the best life ever. But down there, it's just like, oh man, it's unbelievable. So by the way, open door for folks that want to come out to San Diego. I'm a 10-minute walk to the beach, which is my girlfriend's dream come true. So yeah, come on out, man, anytime. So
look at that. See, a man's man, cop's cop. Absolutely. I honestly hope that everything works out for you. I hope that we stay connected and I get to watch you flourish and watch your dreams come true.
Back at you, my brother. Back at you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you stay safe, man. Whatever you're doing out there on the street, and if you need guidance or you need whatever, I'm 100% there for you, man. So
I appreciate it.
All your listeners too, of course. So.
Yep. Those watching, you guys are watching right now. Make sure you get your questions, get them up and going. Those watching the replay, make sure that you still put your questions in there, and I will make sure that they will get answered. And if they need to go to Chris and he doesn't see them, I'll make sure that he gets them as well. But stay tuned, because Certain Be Safe is right here, and he's got some things to say.
I can't wait until my new children's book is finally published. just riding along in my car listening to music.
Yeah, of course you are. And you're not looking in your rearview mirror either.
OMG, is that Sergeant Be Safe behind me? Guess I should get out of the way.
Oh my goodness! Pull over to the right and get out of the way! There's an emergency up ahead and I need to get there! Drivers, you should be operating your vehicle with your radio at a reasonable level. You should also be aware of your surroundings, including what's behind you. So when I come through with my flashing lights and siren, you can immediately get out the way and I can go help whoever's in danger or whatever emergency is happening. Those seconds that it takes for you to pull over are very valuable. Me and my friends need every second imaginable so we can properly serve you. So pull over to the right immediately when you see our lights and sirens so we can go save a life.
Ah, my packages have finally arrived. About time. I'm sure glad I live in an area where nothing happens. Only action around here are deer chomping on people's flowers. I'll take him in after I get done cutting this here grass. This is my favorite pastime.
Aha! I see a package left unattended.
Another crime of opportunity.
Easy pickings for a guy like me. Oh no! There's Be Safe again.
Sergeant Be Safe, is that
there?
You? It's good to see you.
Looks like I'm right on time again. Rob, you blind? Get out of there.
People make it so easy for me to get caught.
Hold on now. He really wanted to steal my packages?
Yes, he did.
Sergeant Be Safe, you're the best. The coolest cat in the land. You saved the day again. We need more like you, brother. We need more like you.
Trust me, I truly appreciate the glory and accolades. But you can really thank me by being vigilant over your property and making my job easy. Well, back to jail you go. Ooh. Package thieves are the worst. Even if you can't get home in time, invest in the security camera so you can catch these thieves. And their next view will look like this. Trust me, this isn't a good view. These seats aren't made for comfort, they're made to transport. Kids, this is one seat you don't want to sit in. Just imagine what your parents would think. Ooh, and this is Sergeant Be Safe giving you another tip of the day to get you on your way.
Subscribe now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you guys for tuning in. Right before we wrap up, Chris, I'm going to ask you one more question. We've had a great interview. I got to learn a lot more about you than I already knew from reading your book. I mean, reading the book is one-dimensional. To actually physically have you here digitally is more of a three-dimensional conversation. Hearing the stories firsthand, I know I got a few of them twisted together, and you kind of separated them and cleared that up. But through the course of conversation, I may have forgotten to ask a question, or I may have jogged your memory in something that you wanted to say. Is there anything that you would like to share with us right now? Right now, the floor is yours.
I tell you what, man, I always start with dedicating, if I may, to your show, dedicating to all our fallen. Usually do a moment of silence, but I'll let you guys do that on your own for this one since we're kind of short.
Oh, absolutely. We can definitely have a moment of silence. We'll do that now. Let me
look it up, man. Right on. Right. Yeah, thanks for that, man. That's always a big deal, because I mean it's when you go through enough trauma, people are gonna pass away. Hopefully, it's never in front of your face. Hopefully, they die peacefully or whatever it is. I mean, we all know we're not gonna make it out in one piece, but like with Dave's passing, God rest his soul. I mean, there were so many things that I learned from his passing that are unbelievably inspiring. I mean, it's like, how did that happen? I mean, I got story after story after story about. In fact, my girlfriend is actually editing his mom's book. She's writing a book as we speak over his whole thing as well, which is just unbelievable. That's another thing that came out of it,
Yeah.
We learned a lot about, how do we train, how do we deploy, and everything else in between, and it was an honor to work side by side with him, of course, just like all my other brothers and sisters in Blue. So I think that should be it. And thank you, man. This is, I already sent you a text message. We got to do this again, man. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to, like I said before we got started, I'm starstruck. I was looking forward to having you on the show. Look forward to having you on the show in the future as well, and to continue to helping your dreams come true, helping get that information out there, helping to share and making this community a better place, making this nation a better place all the way around. The peacekeepers, we go when the fighting is one direction, everyone's running that way, we run this way, and we're all used to it, and we do it because we really have the heart of service. We really have the heart of wanting to fix the problem, and it's a real thing. And you conveyed that, and you've shared your experiences, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you,
ladies. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you guys for tuning in. We go live weekly. Tune in next week. We got a special guest. I'm not going to say who it is because you guys got to tune in and check it out. Hear his amazing story, hear his amazing experiences. We're going to move forward with Black and Blue. 2023 is going to be a fun year. Thank you guys for tuning in. 10-4, over and out.
Like my name was Search Warrant.
Hey guys, I just got this vape from Treacherous Tony. It tastes pretty nasty, but I look cool with it, right? You guys should give it a try. Be cool like me.
Nah, you look pretty stupid. And if you get caught with that thing, you're gonna be in big trouble. Besides, I heard Treacherous Tony is that lame guy who likes to come around and hang around little kids. If you're hanging with him, you must be lame too. Come on, guys, let's get out of here before we get in trouble like Cooper too.
Oh no, Sergeant, be safe.
You kids get out of here. Cooper, tell me where you got that from.
I won't snitch.
I don't see what's so funny. Vape pens like that can lead to harder drugs and cause more problems for you. They're not appropriate for little kids such as yourself. So I suggest you do the right thing and tell me who you got it from.
Treacherous Tony gave it to me.
Tristan, I want you to take me there now. Are you?
Yes, I'm Treacherous Tony. What do you want?
Do you have a card? And why are you selling this to kids?
Yeah, I got a medical marijuana card. I don't sell it to kids. I give it to them.
You give it to them? What kind of an adult are you?
It's a vape pen. What's the big deal?
Are you kidding me? The big deal?
Get out of here, Sergeant No Safe.
Sometimes I just wanna... Yep, I think I will.
All right. I give up. I won't do it again.
That's right, you won't. You're off to jail. Put your hands up and come with me. Remember, kids, what's made for adults aren't suitable for kids. Those vape pens may look cool, but they are not good for you. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
Oh no! Sergeant, be safe!
Subscribe now.